Using Docker is a perfect way to simplify task automation in Bitbucket pipelines and GitHub Actions. It helps creating an environment that is aligned with the project's requirements, which can then be used on those platforms to define workflows. In this video, I will discuss the process of creating and publishing a Docker image on the Docker Hub to enhance the CI/CD configuration of Bitbucket pipelines and GitHub Actions. How to prepare the environment to this process. Docker Hub is a place that Bitbucket pipelines and GitHub Actions use to run containers in their actions. To create and share an image there, you will need a few things: an account on Docker Hub, the Docker Hub desktop tool, and the Docker command available in the terminal. To connect the account, open the terminal and enter the docker login command. It will open the browser, and upon the successful login, it will authorize the session in the terminal. This is needed to push the image to the Docker Hub. How to create the Docker image. Create a new directory for the files and add a new empty Docker file there. This is the most important file, as it is where you configure the project environment. I also recommend creating a package.json where you can define the tasks, eliminating the need to keep the command in your mind and pushing the current state to the repository. The next step is to define the environment in the Docker file. This will be somewhat similar to setting up the clean Linux system. It might seem like a task for a DevOps team, but don't worry, you can handle it. My project is to run on the PHP 8.2 and Node 22, and of course support Yarn and Composer. First, choose the base image on which you will build your container. If you feel confident, you can define everything you need on your own: PHP, its modules, Node, etc. In such way, you can start with a basic image like Ubuntu latest. I choose the PHP 8.2 image since it already includes most of the required modules, to which I will only add a few additional things. Once you have selected the base image, add additional puzzle pieces and install the missing modules. You can do it using the official instructions, because it's like configuring a Linux machine as if you were doing it on your own machine. Guys, I've been working on something I'm really proud of, a new ebook all about code linting and formatting in web development. It's filled with practical tips to help you set up the project environment so your code stays clean, consistent, and free of those all little annoying errors. The plan is to sell it for $15, but if you are on my newsletter, you will get almost 70% discount. Just drop your email in the link that I will add to the video description and you will get it just for the $5 when it's ready. How to publish Docker image. The process of publishing an image in Docker Hub consists of two steps. First, an image must be built. Next, the image needs to be published to the hub. To build the Docker image, use the docker build command along with the few arguments. The docker build with the small dot builds a Docker image from the Docker file in the current directory in your terminal. The tag attribute, which is pragmate.dev /wp-docker-test latest, give the image name and its tag. And the last argument is a platform. For me, it's Linux AMD 64. It specifies the platform for which the image should be built. This is useful when you are working on machines that have a different architecture, such as a Mac OS, and you want to force the compatibility with the server. To publish the Docker image, use the docker push command along with the few arguments. Docker push publishes a Docker image to the Docker Hub. Then we put the image name, which is a pragmate.dev /wp-docker-test, and with the tag, which is latest. After firing the commands, your image should be pushed to the Docker Hub and visible there. You can verify it by visiting the following URL. It's a hub.dockerhub.com/r/image name. To simplify the process and minimize what you need to remember, define the tasks as we described in your project's pragmate.json. This allows you to use simple yarn build and yarn push commands to perform all the operations. How to use Docker Hub image in the Bitbucket pipelines. To use the image in your project, open the Bitbucket pipelines with configuration file and specify its name in the image key. After committing your changes and triggering the action in the Bitbucket, it should work fine. The keyword is should. In my case, the first attempt did not succeed, but through simple trial and error, I was able to resolve it. I'm aware that your project will have unique elements that cannot be foreseen, so experimentation might be required. In my case, I had to implement several additional modifications to the Docker file to ensure compatibility in both Bitbucket pipelines and GitHub Actions. The majority concerned configurations for additional tools. Thank you so much for joining me today. Your support means a lot to me, and it keeps me motivated to create more content. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel and giving it a thumbs up. It really helps spread the word. And if you need developers who truly care about quality and delivering great results, visit our company's website, consultations.com, or contact me with the form that I will add to the video description. Thanks again for your time and see you next time. Bye bye!